What if I told you that the once mighty kingdom of Israel, forged under the leadership of King David and his son Solomon, eventually fractured into two, and that 10 of its original tribes mysteriously vanished from the historical record? The story of the 12 tribes lies at the very heart of the Bible. Yet what became of 10 of those tribes remains one of the most enduring spiritual mysteries of all time. Where did they go? Have they truly disappeared? Or are they hidden in plain sight, waiting to be rediscovered? And what role might they play in the unfolding of end-time prophecy? Scripture tells us that God set apart these 12 tribes for a sacred purpose. But as the people turned away from him, falling into idolatry, rebellion, and sin, judgment came. The 10 northern tribes were conquered by the Assyrian Empire and were scattered to the far corners of the earth. Yet even in exile, God's promises never failed. Today, communities from across the globe, stretching from the mountains of Ethiopia to the jungles of India, from remote parts of Asia to the native peoples of the Americas, claim descent from these long-lost tribes. Some of their traditions, customs, and oral histories bear striking resemblance to ancient Hebrew practices, leaving scholars and believers alike asking, could the reappearance of these people be the fulfillment of ancient prophecy? In this video, Deep Bible Stories invites you to take a closer look at this powerful and prophetic narrative. We will explore the biblical foundations of the 12 tribes of Israel, uncover how and why 10 of them vanished, and investigate the modern claims of groups who believe they are the living descendants of Israel's lost sons. Most importantly, we'll examine what their return could mean in the larger context of Bible prophecy, especially regarding the end times. The roots of this journey trace back to Jacob, the grandson of Abraham. In a dramatic encounter with the divine, Jacob wrestled with God and was given a new name, Israel, a name meaning one who wrestles with God. From his 12 sons came the 12 tribes, each destined to inherit a portion of the promised land and to play a unique role in the unfolding of God's covenant. Jacob's sons included Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. Joseph's 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, would each go on to receive an inheritance of their own, thus forming the complete tribal structure. These tribes formed the United Kingdom of Israel for a time, until political and spiritual division split the nation into two: the southern kingdom of Judah, led by the tribes of Judah and Benjamin, and the northern kingdom, led primarily by Ephraim and Manasseh. Each tribe, as foretold in Jacob's prophetic blessings in Genesis 49, carried its own identity, calling, and destiny. But their collective failure to remain faithful to God led to exile, loss, and silence until now. Could we be witnessing the beginning of their return? Could this ancient story still be in motion, playing out in our time? Stay with us as we follow the path of the lost tribes and seek to understand their role in the final chapter of God's redemptive plan for the world. Following the reign of King Solomon, the unified kingdom of Israel was torn in two. The southern kingdom, called Judah, was composed primarily of the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. The northern kingdom, called Israel, consisted of the remaining 10 tribes, including Reuben, Simeon, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Ephraim, and Manasseh. The northern kingdom quickly fell into idolatry and rebellion against God. Despite warnings from prophets like Hosea and Amos, the people continued to reject God's covenant. In 722 BC, God's judgment came in the form of the Assyrian Empire, which invaded the northern kingdom, captured its people, and scattered them throughout the vast Assyrian lands. The king of Assyria deported Israel to Assyria and settled them in Gozan, on the Habor River, and in the towns of the Medes. These 10 tribes were dispersed across the Assyrian Empire, and over time, their identity as distinct tribes became blurred, earning them the title of the Lost Tribes of Israel. But are they truly lost? Or are they simply waiting to be revealed in the end times? The disappearance of the 10 lost tribes of Israel is one of the most intriguing mysteries in biblical history. After the Assyrian conquest in 722 BC, these tribes were scattered across the Assyrian Empire, and their identity was gradually absorbed into the surrounding cultures. However, the Bible and Jewish tradition suggest that the 10 tribes were not entirely lost. They were dispersed among the nations, awaiting a prophetic return. Over the centuries, various groups across the globe have claimed descent from these tribes, holding on to ancient Jewish customs, traditions, and beliefs, despite their geographical isolation. Some of these groups have become prominent in the modern world, while others have remained obscure, but all claim a direct connection to the lost tribes of Israel. Here's a closer look at some of the most notable groups that believe they are descendants of these lost tribes. 1. Beit Israel, Ethiopian Jews, claiming descent from the tribe of Dan. One of the most well-known groups claiming descent from the lost tribes is the Beit Israel, or Ethiopian Jews, who believe they are descendants of the tribe of Dan. Their presence in Ethiopia stretches back for thousands of years, and they have maintained unique Jewish customs that set them apart from other African ethnic groups. The Beit Israel kept the Sabbath, practiced circumcision, followed kosher dietary laws, and observed various Jewish festivals, even during centuries of isolation from the broader Jewish world. The Ethiopian Jewish community has long maintained that they are part of the lost tribe of Dan, one of the 10 northern tribes exiled by the Assyrians. Their oral tradition tells of a migration from Israel to Ethiopia via Egypt, where they established themselves as part of a long-forgotten branch of the Israelite people. This claim was supported by their religious practices, which mirrored those of ancient Israel and their unbroken tradition of Judaism. In the modern era, their claim was validated in the eyes of the Jewish world when Israel's rabbinate officially recognized the Beit Israel as part of the Jewish people. In the late 20th century, through operations such as Operation Moses, 1984, and Operation Solomon, 1991, tens of thousands of Ethiopian Jews were airlifted to Israel, fulfilling a modern echo of the ancient prophecies regarding the regathering of Israel's exiles. Their connection to the tribe of Dan remains a fascinating part of the wider narrative of the lost tribes, and their return to Israel is seen by many as part of the ongoing fulfillment of biblical prophecy. The search for the lost tribes, voices from India, Afghanistan, Africa, and beyond. Across continents and cultures, an ancient echo continues to stir hearts and minds, an echo from the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Though scattered for thousands of years, their story has not been forgotten. Today, we explore 4 modern communities who believe they are living descendants of those tribes, each carrying traces of a Hebrew past, and each adding to the prophetic puzzle of Israel's regathering. The Ben Yisrael, India's ancient Jewish lineage. In the western regions of India, particularly around Mumbai and Maharashtra, lives a small but historically resilient community known as the Bene Israel Sons of Israel. They claim to descend from the tribe of Ephraim, one of the sons of Joseph. According to their oral history, their ancestors were shipwrecked on the Indian coastline centuries ago, possibly during the time of the Assyrian exile that swept away the northern tribes of Israel. For many generations, the Bene Israel lived in relative isolation from the broader Jewish world. Despite being separated by geography, culture, and centuries of history, they clung to key elements of Jewish tradition. They observed the Sabbath, practiced circumcision on the eighth day, and followed dietary laws that resemble kosher practices. What makes their story remarkable is not just their survival, but their consistency. With no access to Jewish schools or rabbis, they managed to preserve their identity, passing down traditions through family and community, even without formal connection to Rabbinic Judaism. Their customs align closely with the core tenets of ancient Hebrew practice. Over the last few decades, many Bene Israel families have made Aliyah immigrating to Israel. Their arrival has contributed to the cultural and ethnic mosaic of the modern Jewish state and serves as a powerful symbol of what might be the fulfillment of Isaiah's prophecy, that God will gather his people from the four corners of the earth. The Pashtun tribes, Afghanistan and Pakistan's children of Israel. To the rugged mountains of Afghanistan and Pakistan, we turn to the Pashtun people, also known as the Pathans. With a population in the tens of millions, the Pashtuns are one of the largest ethnic groups in the region, and many of them claim descent from the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh. This belief has been passed down for generations. In fact, many Pashtuns refer to themselves as Bani Israel, meaning sons of Israel. Their oral traditions tell of an exiled people who migrated eastward from the land of Israel after the fall of the northern kingdom. These stories are supported by cultural practices that closely mirror ancient Israelite law. Pashtun tribes practice circumcision on the eighth day, avoid pork, and uphold strong traditions of ritual purity, honor, and hospitality values deeply embedded in the Torah. Some tribal names among the Pashtuns even resemble the names of Israelite clans. Names like Rabbani and Levani have led some to suggest direct links to the tribes of Reuben and Levi. While scholars remain divided over the historical and genetic evidence, the cultural and linguistic parallels remain compelling. If the Pashtun claims hold even a grain of truth, then we are not just speaking of a remnant, but potentially millions of people who could be tied to the lost tribes of Israel. Could they play a role in the end-time regathering foretold by the prophets? The Igbo Jews, a Hebrew legacy in Nigeria. In West Africa, the Igbo people of Nigeria present another captivating possibility. Many among the Igbo claim ancestry from the tribes of Gad and Zebulun. Their cultural traditions include striking similarities to Jewish law and custom, such as circumcision on the eighth day, dietary restrictions that resemble kosher rules, and the observance of sacred festivals. For generations, the Igbo have passed down stories of Israelite origin, believing that their forefathers were among those driven into exile during the Assyrian conquest. Though these claims were often dismissed in the past, there is now growing curiosity, both within and beyond Nigeria, about their potential Hebrew roots. In recent years, a significant number of Igbo have formally embraced Judaism, undergoing conversion and returning to traditional Jewish observance. Some have even emigrated to Israel, seeking to reconnect with their spiritual heritage and fulfill what they believe is their destiny. Though not universally recognized by rabbinic authorities, the Igbo movement is part of a larger awakening across the African continent. Communities are digging into their ancestral memories, reconnecting with rituals long thought forgotten, and raising new questions about who the lost tribes really are and where they might be found. The Lemba, the priestly tribe of southern Africa. And then, in the heart of southern Africa, we find the Lemba people primarily located in Zimbabwe and South Africa. For centuries, the Lemba have claimed descent from ancient Israelites, specifically from the tribe of Levi, the priestly tribe. Their oral traditions speak of ancestors who migrated from the Middle East to Africa, bringing with them sacred practices and religious duties. The Lemba abstain from pork, observe circumcision, and uphold rules of ritual purity that are strongly reminiscent of Levitical law. They even observe practices surrounding food preparation that resemble kosher standards. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Lemba story is their connection to a sacred object known as the Ngoma Lungundu, which some have speculated might be related to the biblical Ark of the Covenant. Additionally, genetic studies have revealed that members of the Lemba's priestly class, the Buba, carry a Y chromosome marker found among Jewish Kohanim, the traditional descendants of Aaron. This scientific discovery gave new credibility to what had long been dismissed as folklore. The Lemba may not only be part of the lost tribes, but possibly of the ancient priestly lineage that served in the temple itself. The prophetic thread that binds them. From India to Africa to the mountains of Central Asia, these communities stand as living reminders that the story of the lost tribes may be far from over. Their customs, oral traditions, and spiritual longings point toward a common source, a covenant with the God of Israel. Could it be that these groups are fulfilling ancient prophecies spoken through Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel? Could their return be part of the great regathering foretold in Scripture, where all the tribes, not just Judah, are restored under one shepherd, one kingdom, and one Messiah? The story continues to unfold, and as we draw closer to what many believe is the final chapter in human history, the voices of the lost tribes may yet rise again, not as whispers of the past, but as declarations of prophecy fulfilled. Their customs, including circumcision, kosher-like dietary restrictions, and the observance of a Sabbath, have intrigued scholars for years. Recent DNA testing has lent some credibility to their claims. A significant percentage of the Lemba population has been found to carry the Cohen modal haplotype, a genetic marker associated with the priestly line of Aaron, which further strengthens the argument that they are descendants of the tribe of Levi. The Lemba's story is particularly fascinating because it suggests that the priestly line of Levi, though scattered, has maintained a presence in some of the most unexpected corners of the world. Their return, both spiritually and physically, may be part of the prophetic regathering of Israel. The biblical prophecies, the regathering of the lost tribes. The Bible makes it clear that the lost tribes are not forgotten by God. In fact, their return is central to the end-time prophecies of the Bible. Ezekiel 37 provides one of the most vivid descriptions of their eventual regathering in the Valley of Dry Bones prophecy, where God promises to breathe life back into the scattered tribes and reunite them with Judah. I will make them one nation in the land. on the mountains of Israel. There will be one king over all of them, and they will never again be two nations or be divided into two kingdoms. Ezekiel 37:22. This prophecy foretells a future time when the lost tribes of Israel will be restored and reunited with the southern kingdom of Judah, forming a single unified Israel under the Messiah. This event is seen as a key moment in the unfolding of God's plan for the end times. In Isaiah 11:12, the prophet speaks of the second regathering of Israel, indicating that God will reach out once more to reclaim his people from across the world. He will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the four quarters of the earth. This verse is not just about the return from Babylonian exile. It points to a much larger event, a global regathering that includes the lost tribes of the northern kingdom. Many believe that this prophecy is being fulfilled in part through the return of groups like the Beit Israel and Bnei Israel, and that the ultimate fulfillment will come with the return of all 12 tribes to their ancient homeland. In Revelation 7, we also see the 12 tribes of Israel represented once more as 144,000 individuals, 12,000 from each tribe, are sealed for protection during the Great Tribulation. This passage reaffirms that even the lost tribes have a part to play in God's final plan for humanity. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 tellers from all the tribes of Israel. Revelation 7:4. The return of the lost tribes is not just a historical curiosity. It is a crucial part of biblical prophecy that will culminate in the Messianic age. According to the Bible, the lost tribes will be restored, reunited with Judah, and will play a significant role in the end times, particularly in the establishment of God's kingdom on earth. This regathering will be a supernatural act of God, a sign that the final days are near. As groups claiming descent from the lost tribes continue to emerge, the world watches for the fulfillment of these ancient prophecies. Their reappearance is a reminder that God's promises never fail, and that the return of the Messiah is drawing closer. The story of the 10 lost tribes of Israel is not over. For centuries, the fate of the lost tribes seemed to be shrouded in mystery, vanished from history. Their voices silent, their paths forgotten. But the Bible never left their story unfinished. Time and again, Scripture assures us that God has not abandoned his people. Though scattered across the nations, they were never lost to him. Today, we are witnessing something extraordinary. From the highlands of Ethiopia to the rugged terrain of Afghanistan, communities like the Beta Israel and the Pashtun continue to emerge, each carrying ancient traditions that echo back to the tribes of Israel. These aren't isolated stories. They are living threads that may be weaving together a much larger prophetic picture. The prophets Isaiah and Ezekiel spoke of a future day when God would gather his people from the ends of the earth, restoring not just the tribe of Judah, but all 12 tribes. The book of Revelation speaks of a sealed remnant from each tribe, standing before the throne of God. These aren't metaphors. They are promises, and they point to a time when the scattered children of Israel will be reunited under one king, one covenant, and one future. With every rediscovered tribe, every claim backed by tradition or faith, we edge closer to what may be the greatest regathering the world has ever seen. It's a reminder that biblical prophecy is not just ancient literature, it's a living reality unfolding before our eyes. If today's exploration of the 12 tribes and their potential return sparked something in your spirit, we invite you to stay connected. Like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to Deep Bible Stories, where ancient truths meet modern revelation, and where the forgotten chapters of God's plan are being written once again in real time. Because what was lost may now be returning.